And the Screen Team is back on today's talk, KWOC 93.3 FM. We're getting ready to review a movie. It's called The Forest. It's new to 2016. It's a horror film, or at least it's supposed to be a horror film. It stars...
PG-13, man.
It is PG-13. It stars Natalie Dormer and Taylor Kinney. It was released on January 8th of 2016. The Forest. Sabrina J., you made me go see this film
on a Friday night
in theaters when other great movies were out. I could have seen Star Wars The Force Awakens for the third time. I could have seen The Hateful Eight. I could have seen The Revenant. But you were like, no, I want to see a good horror movie.
I never said that.
I want to go see The Forest.
I just said I wanted to get a good scare on.
Okay. So, my question to you, The Forest.
Yeah.
Did it give you your scare?
Well, I had to give in a little bit to get a good scream out, but mostly I did it just because I wanted to hear all those millennials chuckle and scream. And you know how you can, like, set one off?
So you were trying to instigate some chatter in this boring movie. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I kind of was.
We saw this film in theaters in January, and we saw it with a whole bunch of teenagers.
Yeah,
it was pretty much 90% full of teenagers. This movie is rated PG-13. And let's talk about the plot a little bit, Sabrina. We've got Natalie Dormer's character. Her name is Sarah. She is a twin. Yes. And her twin sister lives in Japan, and she hasn't heard from her in a while. She's gone missing.
Right. They say she went off into the forest, and even the local police contact her and say, your sister's missing.
And she's in a forest that basically people go to commit suicide, correct?
Right. When they have no hope, they leave the path and wander off into the forest. It's known for that. In fact, they even have a little place where you can go and check and see if somebody you are missing is there.
Yeah.
Like a little mini morgue.
Yeah. So Natalie Dormer's character, Sarah, even though the police are telling her all this, pretty much everybody's saying it's a lost cause, lost hope, but she still feels her twin. Right.
She says, no, we're identical twins. I know. She says that the connection courses through her body.
Right. And so she decides to go to Japan, and she meets a whole bunch of characters along the way. Each one of these characters are telling her, basically,
get out.
Do not go into the forest, all right? You see things. You see bad things. These bad things make you do bad things. But she doesn't take these threats very seriously, does she?
No, she's pretty casual about everything.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Considering the woman just went on a feeling and went off to Japan to go look into the forest for her sister.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Oh, I feel my sister's still alive. Whatever.
But you guys are all smoking crack.
Whatever, man. There's no ghosts in this forest. So she goes in the forest with her, I guess her two
her
companions.
park guide, and a guy she met at a bar that wants to do a story on her.
Yeah, I'd like to do a story on her.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I had to. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I had to make that film somewhat exciting. But anyway, so these two guys go on the excursion with her, and they find a clue to her missing sister. They find her tent.
Right.
But it's getting dark, and the one guide is saying, hey, we need to get back.
We don't stay the night.
We don't stay the night. And she basically tells them to shove off. She's staying put.
So story writer stays with her.
Story writer stays with her, and then that's when all the forest activities happen after that. And so we'll kind of leave the plot at that. This movie was supposed to be scary. I mean, were the scares there for you, Sabrina?
I felt like it was at the same level as walking through a haunted house, at the same level of scare, where you're...
Are you serious?
Well, where you kind of just, you realize, okay, this is a PG-13 level scare. And I feel like actually this was more appropriately a PG-13 scare than some of the other movies we've seen recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as me as, say, The Visit or, a couple of other movies that I've seen. So it's not like super bad.
No, it's not super bad at all. It's super... Wait, I'm taking that back. It is super bad. It's super, super bad. This movie is... It's slow. The pacing is very, very slow. The horror is non-existent. There might be maybe 2 good scares, maybe. But the rest is her running through the forest. That's it. I feel like I'm watching Lord of the Rings, man. They're just going through the forest from this point to this point to this point to this point. And it just doesn't do it, man. It doesn't do it. This movie is it feels like a cookie cutter kind of generic horror film to me. There's nothing special about it. The acting is okay. They did the best they could with what they had, but
well,
there's nothing special about this movie.
There's a very small cast, and there's not a whole lot. I mean, you're right. They're running through the forest. There's ghosties and goblins and stuff like that. And I'm like, I think I'm right on when I say the level of scare is very appropriately PG-13. There's a few instead of like a constant. It's like the kiddie version. It's like what's that ride that we hated at Disney World?
Which one was that?
It's a Small World. That's what it was. It's like the Small World version of Scare because you're just like, oh, this is taking forever. Okay, yeah, all you little ones are going to really like this. This is great. I'd take a 10-year-old to this movie if I thought they were like into scary movies but didn't want to like terrorize them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, rather than take them to see something like, some of those other movies we've seen out there. It's just, there's a level to it. And so it's not horrifying. There's a little grotesqueness to it because,
of course,
there's blood and stuff like that involved. But I mean, it's no Freddy Krueger kind of stuff. There's just, it's a whole different level. Do I want to see it again? Probably not.
How about a no? There's no probably in there, man.
If I was flipping through channels and it was on cable, I'd probably be like, I've seen it. I know what happens.
Would you watch it again, though?
No, probably not. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'd have to be really bored to want to watch this movie again. So, should you go out and see it at the theaters? No, absolutely not. Save it for one of those nights when it's like the 99-cent rental and you're just like, I haven't seen this yet. Let's get this. Let's do this. There are much worse movies out there as far as acting and editing and filming. I mean, it's actually a beautiful scenery because it's set on Mount Fuji, but I mean, it's just crazy, like how uneventful it really can be. And I'm a little jaded because I see a lot of it. I really like the genre, so it's like way down there on the level of scare. But it's not a badly made movie. It's not. The Evil Dead was a badly made movie, but it just became a cult classic.
But it scares you more, man.
This has no way of doing that.
This just felt very generic to me.
Yes.
Very generic and very bland.
Very
no
safe,
spices with this at all, man. It's called The Forest. Coming up, we have more reviews on today's talk, KWOC.